Hello, my fellow countrymen. My name is Moses Lekipe, and first foremost, I want to start with a question that may sting a little. A question I need you to sit with not as a Luo, a Kikuyu, a Kalenjin, or a Maasai, but simply as a human being who loves this land. Here it is. What moral inheritance are you packing in your children's lunchbox for the journey of the next 20 years? Not money, not land, not a degree certificate. I am talking about the quiet, invisible currency of integrity. Because from where I stand, that currency is dangerously depleted, and the bank of our future is refusing to cash the checks we are writing with our lives today. Tonight, we are starting a conversation so urgent I have lost sleep over it. A conversation on the new morality of convenience that is slowly strangling the Kenya of tomorrow. Let me paint a picture you all know. A matatu weaves through traffic on Wayaki Way, carrying a pregnant mother. The conductor, a young man full of swagger, stuffs her with a fake 200-shilling note as change. She pleads, he laughs, the passengers see it. They are glued to their phones. Kila mtu na shida yake. Everyone is dealing with their own problems. Not my circus, not my monkey. That young conductor is not born evil. He is a product of a society that has quietly whispered to him, do whatever it takes to survive. Get that paper. The end justifies the means. And that passenger who looked away, that's you, that's me. That's the slow poison of convenient morality. This is the concept I need Kenya to grapple with, the erosion of our collective conscience through the everyday compromises we have justified as survival. We have created a parallel moral universe where a church leader can loot Harambee funds, a student can buy a fake certificate with a straight face, a public servant can demand kiru kidogo as a motivation fee, and we call it hustle. We celebrate wealth without asking its source. We clap for lavish ratios while the community's well runs dry. We have perfected the art of public virtue and private vice. And we are unknowingly brewing a toxic cultural tea that our children will be forced to drink. My elders taught me that Moran is not just a warrior who fights with a spear. A true Moran is the guardian of the village soul. Morality in the Kenya I grew up believing in was our shared shield. The Harambee spirit wasn't just about fundraising. It was a moral technology and agreement that my well-being is tied to your well-being. When did we trade that shield for a sharp knife aimed at each other's backs? When did Kila Mtu Na Life Yik become our national anthem? We are witnessing what I call the privatization of conscience. We think we can lock our gate, drive our child to a private school, and insulate them from a nation bleeding values. Let me tell you the hard truth. A child raised in a gated community, but in a nation without gates of honor, is not safe. The flood of corruption, cutthroat competition, and tribally engineered hatred will not check your title deed at the door. It will sweep all of us away. I am speaking to the mother in Kirui walking miles for water, and to the CEO in Upper Hill closing a billion-shilling deal. I am speaking to the Gen Z on X Spaces and the Mama Mboga waiting for customers who never come. The need for change is not a suggestion. It is an emergency for the sake of future generations. We must perform a national moral audit. We must stop equating silence with peace. Peace is not the absence of noise. Peace is the presence of justice. When you see a young graduate paying a bribe for a job, don't just blame him, curse the system that made him think his brilliance isn't enough. And then ask yourself, what am I doing to dismantle that system, even in my own small corner? We dream of a prosperous Kenya in 2063. But let me tell you, a skyscraper built on a foundation of stolen cement will crash. The only foundation that holds is the moral rebar of integrity. If we want a future where our grandchildren breathe clean air, run honest businesses, and trust their leaders, the change must start tonight, not in Parliament, not in the counties, in here. He places a hand on his chest. In the small decisions we make when no one is watching. Do you give back the extra change? Do you speak when a colleague is mistreated because of their tribe? Do you teach your son that a man's strength is in his tenderness and truth, not in his capacity for violence and domination? So as I close tonight's session, I leave you with this parting image. Imagine your future grandchild barefoot on the red soil of your shamba, looking up at a sky that has become so dark she can no longer see the stars. That darkness is not just pollution. It is the accumulated shadow of every stolen public fund, every tribe-based hate speech retweeted, every lie we told and called siasa. But the stars are still there. They are waiting. They are waiting for a generation that will say enough. The chain of moral laziness ends with me. This is our pilot episode of the Moral Compass. A space where we will not preach but provoke. A space where we hold the mirror so close that we cannot look away. And I promise you next week we are diving even deeper. We are going to unmask what I call the idols of our time, the modern gods of quick wealth, political demigodship, and social media clout that our youth are worshipping at the expense of their souls. It will be unflinching, it will rattle some cages, and you will not want to miss it. Until then. I am Moses Lekipe, reminding you that a nation's greatest asset is not under the ground, it's walking on it. Let's reclaim our shared virtue. Let's do it for the children playing barefoot under a sky that deserves its stars back.